Hello everyone, welcome back to another Brighter Shores video. Today we're going to be going over the Reddit AMA that Andrew and the team at Fen Research did earlier. The AMA was led by community moderator Samuel Hartwell, and answering questions were Andrew, creator and developer, his brothers Ian and Paul Gower, they're both developers, James, who is a developer, Greg, who's an artist, Nicole, who is an artist, and Joe, who handles the music. So, today they just had an open AMA where fans of the game could ask their questions and have a chance of them being answered. They did answer quite a few of them, a good majority, I would say. We're just gonna kind of be going over the major ones that were posted. There's quite a lot. I'll kind of scroll through this real quick. You can kind of see there's a lot in there. There's a lot. So we're definitely not going over everything. We're just gonna go over the major ones. If you want to read all of the questions and answers yourself, this Reddit AMA kind of overview will be linked down below in the description under the video. So without further ado, let's get to it. Okay, so to get started, I'm gonna kind of just like skip reading I think the majority of the questions. If you want to read the questions again, you can go to the article and read them yourself. So I'm just gonna kind of be going over the answers that they've given because that's the juicy bits that we care about. In the long run, we'll probably avoid changing professions in already released episodes too much, although we may insert some extra activities and gaps which relates to other episodes. And some of the professions you will notice already linked to other episodes. So they were basically asking if these previous episodes, episode 1, 2, 3, etc., are gonna get updated eventually when there's, say, episode 6 and 7. Are they gonna interweave the later episodes into these previous episodes? So the answer is kind of no. They might a little bit here and there where it makes sense, but for the most part, no. They are not planning on doing noted items. Those of you that play RuneScape kind of know what noted items are. They're not doing noted items, but they are planning on allowing player-to-player trading directly to and from your banks if you're trading in the marketplace area. So that is over here in Chronopolis. And you got to be a premium member, obviously, but as long as you are in the marketplace area, you should be able to just kind of trade from each other's banks. So that is awesome. Kind of our first real tidbit of player-to-player trading, I believe. Builder profession is not player-owned housing, but you know, maybe one day we might get it. They do plan on eventually releasing FenForge, the game engine that Andrew has created. That will eventually, I believe, be public. Other people may create their own games using the engine. I believe it's Paul later on in this AMA also kind of touches on the engine, stating that it's really easy to pick up and get used to. I believe anyone they mentioned like anyone who is familiar with Java will be able to pick up the Fen engine, Fen language, whatever it's called. We'll see it later on, but they should be able to pick it up quite easily. And engine overall is just really geared towards quickly creating MMOs. So we might see some other MMOs in the future from the brothers here. The mobile version of Brighter Shores will probably launch after we come out of early access. We don't want to launch on mobile too soon because the update process on mobile is a lot more onerous. I have no idea how to say that. It's a lot longer of a process, we'll say that. And it requires a rather slow approval process from the mobile platform. This won't work well whilst we're pushing out updates so frequently. So we want to wait until we are into a more regular update cadence first, which totally makes sense. That's kind of what I've always figured. We'll see mobile once the game is released, or probably I would hope at least right before release, because you really want to get as many players on release, get the hype going as much as possible. So if they can get a mobile version going right before it comes out of early access, that would be best. This is probably the biggest piece of news that we've gotten out of this whole AMA, I would have to say. So Andrew says, in terms of combat, we had a big long discussion yesterday about best to improve it. We know that separate combat profession per episode isn't popular, and I think we have come up with a new way of avoiding needing separate combat professions per episode and avoiding the problems I described, which caused us to implement it in this way to begin with. And also how we can migrate existing save games without anyone losing any progress. I don't want to go into too much details yet, as we're still designing it, but I am very excited about my new idea for how combat progression should work. It will be a fairly time-consuming update to produce, but it is a very high priority. We also want to make sure combat cater to more playstyles, so you can play it more AFK if you want, or less AFK if you want, or just like it is currently if you want, depending on which monster you fight or which episode you are in probably. PvP is planned to be enjoyable at any combat level via a leagues system. If you want to be in the top league, it will be end game content for sure, but we plan to make it so you can enjoy PvP and not lose all the time without having to get level 500 first. Wow. So that right there, huge combat update coming in the future, most likely. Again, they're still just in the planning phase, so nothing's even started on it. Who knows how long it's going to take, or if it even comes to fruition. But wow, that's probably been about the biggest gripe that everyone's had in the game so far, is just how combat is just kind of boring. It doesn't feel any different, obviously, because it's not any different between episodes, other than you just get new gear and start all over, and it has a different name and icon. So I am very much looking forward to that. I'm sure you are very much looking forward to that. Yeah, it's just kind of like speechless almost. I really don't know what they're gonna do. Thing that I've always kind of been an idea I've always kind of been a fan of is that each episode, its combat should feel quite different from each other. I don't just want like a single combat that lasts me through every episode. I don't just want, fighter or guard. I don't want to just be guard through every episode and that's it. I enjoy them having their own separate profession. I just wish that they were different from each other. I wish they were thematically different from each other. I wish they were visually and like the animations were different. The, maybe particle effects different. Like, for example, your typical sword and board for episode 1. Episode 2, you're a scout with a bow, so maybe you're more of a ranger using bows and arrows. Episode 3, maybe you're kind of more like explosives, you're down in the mines, maybe you kind of use like mini explosives to do damage. And episode 4, you're more of like a policeman kind of thing, so maybe you got the whole police get up. In the future, we can have like two-handed melee, we could have magic, necromancy, kind of like just all these different kinds of ways to still do the same thing. Combat could still be the same way it is. It could still function the same, just let me cast a fireball instead of swinging my little baton, or whatever, you know. So I don't know, just we'll have to wait and see. I'm very excited about it. Let me know down in the comments what you think Andrew and the team were talking about and what you think they might be doing. This person was asking basically, will we be able to use like our tools, our profession tools for like transmog for transmog slots. They basically just say yes, we plan on adding many more transmogs. And then this one's regarding chat. This one's kind of, we need to give Andrew and the team feedback about what we think. And they're asking for it specifically in this one, which is we are wondering about maybe making it so you can chat with people who are in the same room, but not in the same instance of the room. So there is more chat. Of course, you wouldn't be able to see some of the people talking if we do this. What do people think about this? Another idea would be to have a professions channel, such as a woodcutting channel. So it's kind of two parts. So either we just have room specific channels. So for example, if you're on, you're on Eel Street or whatever, you're fishing the eels, right? You're catching the eels. Anyone who is in that same room catching eels across any of the server instances, you can chat with. So there could be 200 people that you're chatting with in that one room. But it's only for that one specific room that you would be chatting. Personally, I don't think that's that good of an idea. I don't think that's really going to solve the issue. I like their second idea, which is more of having a profession channel, such as the wood cutting channel or fishing channel. So you could just maybe join it on your own. I guess you would have to and just be able to join the channels when you want. Probably leave them when you want. But that'd be a lot of joining channels if you want to be able to chat with whatever profession you're doing, and not, like if you just had to join them all and then not hassle with removing or leaving, and I don't know, that's not that great of a solution either. So if any of you can think of something better, please let Andrew and the team know. The last kind of thing is more like co-op methods, like shooting stars, evil trees, and RuneScape, etc. We definitely want to do more co-op leveling methods. Events are likely to be relatively small affairs, like the Christmas event was, for now, as we are only a small team, so we don't want to focus too much on efforts and things that won't stay in the game, which perfectly makes sense. Don't waste time on stuff that's only going to be around for a couple weeks or a month. Focus on getting the game amazing for release. That's priority number one. So next up, we're kind of back to the profession interconnection. But they say, yes, we agree the professions need to be more interconnected. We also need more content such as raids, repeatable boss monsters, mini games, etc., which utilizes multiple professions at once to make them feel more interconnected. And based on player feedback, we are planning on changing the leaderboards, so whilst it doesn't show anonymous player, it does show your true rank. So if you are at rank 37 and you can see the person above you is at rank 34, you will know there's 2 anonymous players between you. That is amazing. It's kind of been a hot topic in the community lately, the whole leaderboard kind of fiasco, so this will solve it, put an end to it. I mean, there's still a little bit of things here and there that people have issues with, but that'll mainly solve the leaderboard issues, which is awesome. And finally, yes, I do want to do a lot more minigame repeatable raid style content. And this is sort of a place where procedurally generated content would work well. They're kind of talking about doing dungeons, dungeons. Basically, any of you've played like RPGs or pretty much any MMO, anything like that, you know what they are. You go through dungeons, kill monsters, probably kill a little mini boss at the end or a boss or whatever, get some loot. And as I mentioned earlier, we are thinking of rethinking combat professions quite dramatically to not have a separate combat profession per episode. More on this revealed once the designs in my head are turned into something more concrete. And they would be interested to know if people would prefer the skill locations to loop or would prefer the map to be bigger so it's a new location more often as you level up. We were trying to keep the map compact so there is less walking and so you get to revisit areas. Less looping would mean a bigger and more repetitive as a consequence map, which I am wondering about, but I am not sure. So for those of you wondering, pretty much if you haven't seen, start off, if you haven't, the Forager guide that we have here on the YouTube channel, and there's a written guide over on the website as well. I'll probably have links to them down below now that I'm mentioning. So go there and you can see a very good example of what they're talking about, a loop. So a good training leveling loop to where you can just kind of make one big circle, probably meet back up at a storage rift, drop your items into it and start your loop over again. So we're probably talking something like that for foraging, gathering, wood cutting, mining, you know, all your like little gathering type skills, professions, excuse me. Or if we would prefer something a little more spread out to where they can make the map bigger because they don't have to worry about it quite going in a loop. So they can make it bigger, they can spread things out. So you level up, you're at level 10 and then you get to like level 15 and perhaps you go from like the south side of the map and then you're all the way up to like the northwest side of the map, and then you get to level 20 and then all of a sudden you're over to the east side of the map, far east, and versus again that episode 1 Forager guide that we have, where it's quite literally just a loop that you make through about 6 or 7 rooms, and that's that. And even when you level up, all it's going to do is change one of the resource nodes to be a higher level, and you're still continuing on that loop. Or perhaps you just drop one of the lower resources and a new one becomes available, but it's still right there kind of on your loop, and so you're still doing the same loop. It's just a little bit different once you level up every so often. I personally enjoy both. I think they're both really good ideas, and I think maybe it would be a good idea to have both. Maybe have the loop, which could be a little more click intensive, and you're just worrying about leveling up quicker, so it's more click intensive, you're getting more XP, things are closer, so you're just gaining more XP per hour faster. Whereas then they can have the more kind of spread out locations, and those are more of the AFK. You're going to travel to them, so it takes a little more travel time to get to them, but then once you get to it, you're just going to sit there. You're going to be there for a while. You're not really moving. Yeah, I don't know, to me that makes sense. It gives both sets of players, both player types, kind of what they would enjoy, and gives people options, which options are always good. You can never have too many options. And you probably could, but typically in games you can't. So this one's just talking a little bit about the artwork. So Andrew says, thanks for the nice comments, glad you're loving our artwork. The models are made in ZBrush and Maya. This is where I talked about it earlier, this is where Paul talks about the engine. Our scripting language has a bunch of great tools for making it easy to navigate. and it's pretty powerful and flexible. It helps to have people who wrote the scripting language on hand to answer questions too. Learning a scripting language while it's still being developed is an experience with different challenges to normal. Things can change while you're partway through using it, and suddenly you need to develop new habits. The in-house language, FenForge, is a full programming language. It would feel very familiar to anyone experienced with other Java-like languages. It has some unique features that speed up multiplayer game development. I wrote a multiplayer lunar lander style game within my first few days at Fen to get grips with the language. The Brighter Shores engine is written in our in-house language and includes its own set of libraries, Jors, which are designed to support faster development of content for that game. That was a mouthful to read. I'm surprised. Wow, I was gonna say, I'm surprised I didn't stumble over my words a little more often. And of course, I stumbled over my words trying to say that. So, very cool, just a little more insight behind the scenes of their game engine and scripting language. Andrew goes on to say, I will probably put in minigame raid style content in future episodes, which use professions from other episodes. The quests will probably remain region specific and their own profession requirements. So episode 5 quest, we're only going to see episode 5 requirements. We're not probably ever going to see it require, you know, like level 400 guard from episode 1. Just quests are kind of contained to their own episode, which is great in my opinion. I don't want to have to backtrack like that. I mean, I'm in this game for the long haul. I plan on playing eventually. Hopefully someday I'll have like all level 500 professions and, you know, everything maxed out, but I still do not think that would be a great idea to start. just look at RuneScape and all of its, you know, funky quest requirements and everything, and just keep the quests in their own episode. That's a good idea. Yes, there are plans for endgame content, including raids. That's awesome. We knew it. They were saying that lots of times, but we don't have our own polling system yet, and there's probably more urgent things first, but I will from time to time do polls on X, formerly Twitter, especially when I'm undecided or want to get an idea of which things are most wanted first. I've tried to make this game appeal to both people who want to level up while AFK via the passive activities and by playing actively. However, I have realized I also need to cater for the middle ground of people who want to play in a semi-AFK way, where they are still at their computer, so not strictly AFK, but are interacting with the game less frequently, a bit like how crime dens already provide, but in more places and more professions. And if you couldn't tell by the activity I'm playing on your screen here, that's me. You just described me. That's me. Because I am on my computer a lot. I am for those of you that don't know, I am a stay-at-home father. I am also a self-employed web developer, hence the websites that I create. So I'm on the computer a lot, but I don't necessarily have time to sit and grind and click and click and click and click. I am often working. I am often taking care of children. I am often taking care of the house and everything else in life. So I cannot wait for that. Crime dens, it's the highest skill I have, detective and watchman. For that specific reason, I can AFK it while I continue working on my projects. So I'm looking forward to more of those type of activities. Yes, we have a party system planned. We originally wanted it for launch, but it wasn't ready in time It is very much still planned, and yes, we definitely want more co-op activities to go alongside a party system. So, makes sense. This is an MMO. You eventually want to party up with people, especially if there's mini games, raids, bosses, stuff like that. Of course, we want to party up, and it makes sense to them too, you know. Well, this next one is we will be very careful to make sure the crafting professions don't become worthless. Even if we add a unique drop you can only get from a boss, we would still do something like making it so crafting can still be used to further enhance the item. There will probably not be riding mounts in the game, as the game has not been designed with them in mind, so it would be quite hard to add them. I don't think mounts really work. Maybe in the future if they make an episode where like it's a very large map and mounts are integrated as part of like the lore of that would make a little more sense and maybe be cool, but that seems like a lot of development time on new features and stuff that could probably just be put elsewhere into the game to make it better overall as a whole, which is typically my stance on updates. I want things that are just gonna make the game better overall. Eventually they're gonna add better ways to do bug reports, which is cool. And this is regarding bots. So yes, we are working on ways to detect bots. We have already collected the data we need to do so. We just now need to write the logic to process the data and identify the bots. And eventually, yes. This is talking about an API, so this is different, but this is up my alley. So eventually, yes, they plan on releasing some kind of an API. But again, we have to focus developer resources where this is where there is most demand. I could be wrong, but I suspect most people would consider more content to be more urgent first, which I agree as a player. But as a developer, oh boy, would I love an API. I almost reached out to Andrew asking him if he had a secret API available or was gonna make one soon. So kind of answers my question. Glad I didn't reach out. But I'm looking forward to an API. You guys can see some very cool stuff coming on the site soon, if and or when that becomes available. PvP will probably be a stake based system rather than a full inventory drop, so you can control how much you want to risk. So those of you who play other games such as Albion Online, that's a popular MMO with full loot PvP. So those of you play Albion, nope, no full loot, but you will be able to stake like the I think old school still has staking and stuff like that in it, right? RS3 used to, but not anymore. Goodbye, Sand Casino, you will not be missed. So are there any plans to add more completionist capes? Probably yes. And are there plans to expand the potion belt like XP and fear potions? Yes, so that's cool. And then finalizing it here, kind of a little bit about episode 5. Most of the mapping and quests for episode 5 are done. The professions still need work. If I dropped everything and focused all my effort on episode 5 today, I reckon it would be 2 or 3 months. However, I think I want to focus on things like improving combat and adding trading and PvP first. How many episodes do you plan on releasing before you exit your early access? Probably just episode 5, plus adding lots more to the existing episodes too. What does the game look like after you exit early access? And it looks the same. So lots of updates, lots of listening to our feedback. It's gonna be awesome. I'm excited in for this for the long haul. I hope you guys are too. If you are, hit that subscribe button. We can be here together. Wouldn't that be nice? And then finally, last couple bits here, we'll definitely leave some content updates as a surprise. Others will still or others, we will want feedback from the community first, so we'll discuss beforehand. Others, I will probably leak on my Twitter. And wow, we got a little update here, as you can see over in my tiny little game screen. So, and a perfect timing for me to be finishing this up. Eventually, I would like to settle into a weekly update cadence, preferably with a nice new piece of content each week. Game will need to grow a bit to allow more staff first, though. And as someone who played RuneScape since the very beginning, hallelujah, that was one of the things that drew me to RuneScape so hard. Weekly updates, something to look forward to every probably Monday. Awesome. I can't wait. And with that, we are done, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for sticking around. I don't know how long this is. This is probably going to be like a 30-minute long video of me rambling on. So if you stuck around to the end, make sure you give it a thumbs up, like this video. If you don't like the video, thumbs it down. That's cool too. Whatever you want to do, fine by me. But thank you for tuning in. I appreciate it. And until next time, good luck and have fun.